Hey YouTube, just making some tortillas today, and I have found this recipe to be pretty much a foolproof recipe if it's followed exactly to the T. And so I was going to share that with you. So it's very, very simple. It's 2 cups of flour, which you see there. And to that 2 cups of flour, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of boiling water from the kettle. So I'm going to add 1/4 cup of oil of your choice. I'm going to do sunflower oil, but from the 3/4 cup mark, just add the oil in with the hot water. I've already added 1 teaspoon of salt, so you can add salt to your taste, but I'm going to go ahead and add the water. And I like to use a wooden spoon, but I don't like to use this end because it ends up getting all gummy. So I just like to use this end, and I find it mixes up the dough really nicely until I can roll it with my hands. So I'm going to go ahead and add the liquid and just mix it up. What it looks like mixed in. So here it is in a ball, and I'm going to just roll it into a log shape. I'm going to cut it into 6 golf ball size pieces of dough. So I just cut down the middle, and then I just cut 3 on one side and 3 on the other. So now I've got 6 pieces. I'm going to roll them into golf ball shape, and I'm going to put most of them back into this bowl, cover it with a tea towel, and work with one at a time. Keeping this covered keeps it nice and moist, and that way it won't dry out on you while you're working with the other golf ball size pieces of dough. So I set aside about 1/2 cup of flour for dusting. So I'm just going to go ahead and dust this. And this is not in a shape of a golf ball. I've just kind of flattened it a bit, and I'm going to spread the flour on both sides, flipping this. And if you're looking for perfectly rounded circles, I cannot help you with that. Okay, so I've got a little dusting of flour on it, and I'm just rolling it out to thin, but not paper thin, okay? You're not looking for paper thin when it comes to making tortillas. And that's because you want to leave enough space so that bubbles can form in between. I can't really say how thin, but you don't want it paper thin. You want it a little thicker than that, but not too fat, if that makes sense. So I'll show you about how thin that is. It's pretty thin, but it's not paper thin. Okay, and so you can see that it's not a perfect circle. I'll show it to you once I put it on the pan. Now this is what they call a tawa, and I've used a frying pan for years, so you can just use a large frying pan if you don't have one of these. I just find these very handy and worth the money because there's no edges to it, so you don't have to like worry about the size of your tortilla or roti or whatever it is that you want to make on this. It's just got no edges to it, so it's nice. But like I said, frying pan will work. 30 seconds on one side and 15 on the other. The heat is really high on this, so my first one is always terrible. Like, that's just the way it is, but it's still edible. So the tortilla is on medium-high heat right now for 30 seconds. So it's been 30 seconds, and you can see the bubbles starting to form underneath or in the middle of the tortilla. So now I'm just going to take it and flip it and let that cook for another 15 seconds on this side. You can turn it around a bit with your hands. It kind of helps the bubbles to rise inside. Like kind of turn it or pat it a little bit. But that's 15 seconds, so that tortilla is done. That's it. So I'm going to repeat the process. So it's a dough ball, just rolling it out. I usually flip this over probably 2 or 3 times to try to get a round shape. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, most times it doesn't. So there it is. Put it on the stove. 30 seconds on one side. I'm going to flip it over. And 15 seconds on the other side. So that's about 15 seconds. See how it looks there. If you get it too hot, they'll be like this. They're still edible. They're okay. But the aim is to get the temperature right at that sweet spot, which is medium high. But that just depends on what your stove is like. You can just test it. Put a little bit of flour for dusting and then roll out your dough. You don't want too much flour. You just need a little sprinkle when you're rolling out your dough so that it doesn't stick to your rolling pin. But otherwise, if you end up with too much flour on the dough, when you put it on your frying pan, then it's going to end up building up and getting burnt and sticky on the pan, and it'll mess up your tortillas. So what you want to do is just make sure you don't use too much flour when you're sprinkling it on your dough. So here they are, the 6 tortillas. Pretty golden, most of them. Except for the first one. I feel like I always mess up the first one. But there they are. And there's the first one. One suggestion, if somebody really, really wants perfect circles, as these are not, you could, once you've rolled out your dough, get a plate, put it over top of your tortilla dough, and then just use a knife and cut around the edges, and you'll have a more perfect circle that way. Or you could just practice your technique, because it can be done. It's just I've never bothered to take the time to learn it, and I find it so much faster to just roll it out and get it cooked. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and hope to see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and God bless you. Bye for now.